Hi everyone. A very hearty late summer salute to you all. So according to our Gregorian calendars, it's Thursday, Jupiter's Day, September the 4th, the year 2014. But in reality, where time does not dictate to us, we are spinning through the magical universe, moving through the body of source known as the cosmos, out of the epoch known as Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, into Satya Yuga, or the Golden Age. All is well, even though it might not look that way on the outside. Kind of like when you take everything out of your messy closet and the room looks like a construction zone before you toss the old things out and hang and fold up all your good things, and it all looks really organized and attractive again. That interim period can look dauntingly untenable. You might say that's where we are now. Now, some people see where it's all going, so the mess doesn't concern them. They see it as a necessary and organic mess. Others don't see where it's all going and just see a terrifying disaster. This is why perception is so important. This is why we must rise above the consciousness of the mess and see the universal laws governing it. Knowing the universal laws is essential and something we should all learn in first grade. But that, of course, will come in the schools of the Golden Age. I've spoken a bit about the influences that have cast spells upon our consciousness in that dark age. Yes, just like spells cast on princes and princesses in fairy tales. They made us see things through a lens that was not true to our nature, that had us believing that we were much less than we truly are, and that convinced us that the way of the society around us was normal, that all its rituals and customs were the right way to do things. From how to procure food, how, when, and what to eat, how to create balanced exchanges of resources, aka monetary currency, what is true science, how to live, how to raise children, what is worthwhile entertainment, what is right attire, and so on, and so on, and so on. Like the proverbial frog being unwittingly cooked in the pot, we had no alternative recourse, and so we, albeit begrudgingly, went along with the whole thing. Even our rebellion against it found us more or less following a program, just a rebellion program. Oh, the spells, oh, the suffering. Now, as I have said, the suffering can come to an end now. It was always in our hands to end it, but harder to do when the influences were still so strong. But now, with the new energy and the forced end of the spell casting, which has a lot to do with the end of the Mayan calendar of 2012 and the incoming Golden Age, but I'm not going to pretend I know exactly how it all fits together, just that it is clearly coinciding. Now that these influences are in our power to choose rather than be bullied by, we get to take our power back. And our power, as you're going to see, is bigger than we could have ever have dreamed. But you knew it. You felt it. You know you've always known inside that you are more than the world has been making you out to be. There's so much I want to share with you. I want to be careful, though, not to overwhelm you or to pour it out faster than it should come. There was a time when this kind of knowledge was actually not allowed to be shared with the public. I think there may have been some mystical reason for that, but there are two reasons that I feel I can share it now. The first is that I did not get this knowledge that I will be sharing with you from a mystery school. I've taken no oaths, nor am I connected to any organization of mystical knowledge, save that of Source and the network of life. This information has come through my consciousness. Call it guides, inspiration. There's no ego attached to it that tells me to call it anything. It's just free and clear knowing. It's not attached to me either, since I'm just a ray of the sun like you are. The second reason is that there has been no block on my transmission. When I ask if it is okay to share, all I get is a clear, absolutely, why in the world would you hold back? This is for you, meaning for me. I get that strongly, as it is for everyone. Now, not everyone will resonate with it, but that's kind of irrelevant. It's like good quality air. Some people will recognize it and drink it in, knowing full well its value, and others will keep breathing shallowly, caught up in other things, not knowing the difference. Finally, my life has been so lovingly supported, such that I could receive this, that I feel it is clearly for the good of my family of life, that I receive and pass it along. It is also coming through so fast these days that I feel I have to document it and pass it along, or gems will get lost. I might benefit from something and then move beyond it, like a step that leads me higher, and then in moving beyond it, that step would not then be there for someone else, and that would be tragic. Okay, so there are 3 or 4 transmissions today. The first thing is that all self-loathing must be dissolved now. Every human on this planet has been infected with self-loathing. It's come from the deviant influences that we were bombarded with like horrid radiation on our beautiful human field, coming from so many countless forms and from so many countless vehicles, but they have to go. If you have negative thoughts about yourself, there you go. Here is the truth. You are beautiful, you are rich, and you are loving. You are intelligent, you are creative, and you are of the greatest value. Let me tell you something. I have had a very interesting life, and I have met and spent time with all sorts of people. I have mentioned in a recent post that my dad was a heavyweight prize fighter. Here, I'll show you a picture. Let's see. Get this up here. That's my dad. Can you see that? Let's see. Okay, that's back in the 1920s. He was born in 1906. All right, just so you can see him in his heavyweight prize fighter days. Well, the second part of his career was in the music business. My dad was hired by Berry Gordy to move the Motown sound from Detroit to LA back in the day. So before I was even 12, I had met and hung out with all the biggies in the music industry. Lionel Richie, Diana Ross, late night sessions with Michael Jackson, parties at our house with Marvin Gaye, Verdine White, the Pointer Sisters, Smokey Robinson. And then, in my adult life, many a jet-set crowd, celebrities through my private practice, and ironically, close quarters with the big families that get pulled into the Illuminati category, like the Rockefellers, the Morgans, the DuPonts, the Rothschilds, and others. Did I see them morph into reptiles? That's for another day. But the point is that these celebs and wealthy individuals all have the same thing to deal with. Are they going to capitulate to self-loathing or self-love? Their lows are low, believe you me. I've seen it in plain sight and behind closed doors. Get over the magazines, the TV shows, the movies, the illusions, the illusion of wealth and beauty. For goodness sake, that is all it is, illusion. If for no other reason than to be able to say this to you now, it was meaningful for me to have seen what I've seen. Let's break it down. You are made up of light. E equals mc squared. There is the dense material aspect of you, but there is also the etheric blueprint which comes from the source consciousness. Let's use the ray of the sun analogy again here. You are a ray of the source. You are pure light. Now, our DNA has been messed around with over the generations of these dissonant influences, but that is not who you are. You are a body of pure light, which makes you pure beauty and pure intelligence. It also means you are rich with the abundant substance of creative energy, which is pure love. Let this be your only mirror. The world's mirrors have become a funhouse of something altogether warped, disorienting, and dizzying. Let this truth ground you and be your single mirror from this moment forward. All else is a lie, a trap. You are beautiful, you are rich, you are intelligent, creative, and loving. Just keep repeating that until you've canceled out all the lies, and that truth is re-anchored in you. You cannot ride the wave of life and rise above the mess consciousness if you are in self-loathing at any level. You see, we have great power, but, and this is a very big but, there are dimensional provisional barriers to it. It cannot be accessed by the impure in heart. And while you might not think of it this way, if you are self-loathing, you are not pure in heart. It is not a virtue to act kindly to others and yet not to be kind to yourself, to celebrate the good in others while you criticize yourself. We often think of the good people of the world as those who deny themselves because typically people have the opposite problem. But here this is now. It works both ways. Rising above the mess means seeing the light and perfection in everyone, including ourselves. The moment you see yourself slipping into self-loathing, you know exactly what you have to work on. There are so many activations to look forward to. The heart activation and the sacred brain activation, to name two big ones. But you can't get there until you clear this big barrier to it, to your beautiful power, by clearing your self-loathing. The second thing that is really important to get you rise into higher states of consciousness is to know that every program from our culture reinforces animal nature. From our appetites around consumption and sex, to our fears around survival, to our self-pity, the licking of our wounds, we have hitched our wagons of consciousness to that of animals. Now, I say animals loosely and use it only as a point of cultural reference, because I do not think animals are even what we have believed them to be. That is also a cultural story. The animals of our planet are also so much more than we have pigeonholed them, forgive the pun, to be. That said, I invite you to consider the concept of the beast in the Bible. If you're not familiar with the reference, please just do a little research around the beast concept as related to Satan and the devil. Now, I was raised by a Southern Baptist, so I heard a lot about the beast from Revelations and the mark of the beast, the dragon, and such in my upbringing. And yet, the true meaning, which was so much simpler than that which was bantered around, ever eluded the Christians I knew. The beast is the nature in us that is antithetical to life. Some call the animal desire to describe our impulse to eat, copulate, and react in fear, anger, and neediness. Our culture has entrained us with its deviant directives and influences on our field to serve ourself, which is antithetical to life by definition. It's trained us to serve our personal desires of the senses, which unravel the weave of the network of life. Thus, we are turned into beasts, pathogens, if you like. I'll briefly here touch on the fact that everything that serves the beastly potential in us is also entropic, meaning it supports the demise of all aspects of our being, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and sexual, and it explains the upside-down pentagram, which places spirit, which in its upright position is at the top of this geometrical structure. It places it at the bottom, such that the flesh or flesh desires rule over spirit. That is the whole story of the beast in the Bible and the shrouded mystery exposed. You need to know these things in order to pass go. That's why I'm sharing this out in the open, unmuzzled as it were. Technology does have its worth on the bridge back to our full remembering, and ultimately our full power, where this kind of technology and communication will ultimately become obsolete. But it serves a purpose now. Now there are just two more things I want to share with you that I think are of immense value to know. The third thing came straight through me as one of my biggest gifts of information from that blessed vehicle of source knowledge. This is big. It has to do with fatigue and sleep. I'm going to share more about this in my Fall Master course, but in a nutshell, our need to sleep is not what we think it is. It is not an automatic need. What happens is that our energy gets all spazzed out, to use a clinical term. Because we interface with cacophony and dissonance rather than harmony and resonance, we need a whole lot of sleep to realign our subatomics, which are all frazzled by this dissonance. The message I received that explains this also explains why the great yogis and Shaolin masters don't have to sleep. The more we prevent dissonance, the less sleep we require. Now, note bene that while you are realigning and remembering yourself, just like when you are detoxing and healing, you will accomplish much while you are sleeping. But on the other side of this process, if you maintain your atomic energetic alignment, you will not need much sleep at all. So as long as you live in cities and under the influence of dissonance or take in dissonantly vibrating substances, you will require much sleep, and you will age rapidly. But you can see how this can be remedied. Exciting stuff. Okay, last thing. I've had many activations where dormant faculties have come to life. My psychic aspects have come to life. My heart has been activated and opened, though there's no end to that process, as we will one day radiate the power of the sun ourselves, I believe. My latest activation has been in the sacred chamber of the brain. The interesting thing is that I have not focused on that. It has been a natural result of everything I've done to align with the interconnected network of life and source energy and return to life, dissolving the things that would separate me internally and externally. So this very cool thing has happened. The upper center of my head, behind my forehead, where the pineal gland sits, has started vibrating in an unmistakable way. It's like it's waking up, and then it goes back down for a bit, and then it's up again. It's really kind of fun to feel the humming sensation there because I know what it is. I've decalcified it through my deep tissue cleansing on the physical level and through my removal of mental programs and spiritual restriction. So here we go, to a whole new experience of self-retrieval. What I want to share with you is something that was a bit of an epiphany to me, but maybe to some of you it's more obvious. It occurred to me that when I used to look at angels and saints with the halos around their heads, I used to think of it as something that was coming from their crown chakra field, that it was coming from the field outside their body, because to my limited thinking, the body itself wouldn't produce so much light. That was how separate everything used to be to me. It never occurred to me that the disk of light was the emanation of radiation coming from the activated pineal gland inside the center of the brain. Alas, this is what I believe to be the case now. The light in the center of the sacred brain, behind the area between the eyebrows, starts to sing and dance and fill with light, and that light creates the disk of resonant or radiant light that originates inside the skull. Naturally, it connects the body with source, probably, as I understand it, through the pillar of light that enters through the fontanelle, which is wide open on top of a baby's skull, up until about the age of 2. It's all connecting now. It's so fun to be activated, but remember, it all comes when you become one with life. Remove the rubbish from social programs that are rooted in directives that will have you serving a beastly nature. You can rise above it. You are light, and therefore, you are beautiful, intelligent, wealthy beyond measure, loving, creative, and radiant. Let that be your only mirror. As for me, that's all I see when I look at you. I'll keep sharing as long as it feels right to do so. Much love always.